Hi, everybody. I'm Curt Bonnem, and I had the pleasure of doing all the male voices in the recently released audiobook For Real by Alyssa Turner. Alyssa asked me if I would do a little behind the audio interview for the members of Audiobook Fly, and I said I would love to. So, hope you're all doing well this Tuesday, and welcome to my booth. It's a bit of a temporary booth right now. I'm moving into a new house actually this week, where I am having a new home studio built. So I'm very excited about that. Currently, I'm in a walk-in closet that I have transformed into my vocal booth, and luckily it's working really well. So welcome. And I'm going to answer some questions for you about what it was like working on For Real, which was super fun. So let's get started, okay? So let's see here. So first question, what's your process for embodying the characters you narrate? Well, I've been an actor for over 30 years, pretty much my whole life. Yeah, actually much longer than that, since the fifth grade. Um, and the process is always pretty similar. Again, I've been acting for a long time, so I'm pretty used to this process. It's really about, finding what about the character you relate to, understanding what they want, what their needs are, what they're trying to get, their background, things like that. And this was actually particularly great because I had Alyssa to work with, and she had very specific ideas about what she wanted for these characters, which for me as an actor I love, because that just helps me out. She knew a lot about what they should even sound like, what their needs, their wants were, their whole history, all of those things. So that really helped me, find these characters and try and embody them for Alyssa as best that I could. Next question. In For Real, you performed 3 very different personalities of Hill, Pete, and Marty. Was there one character you related to most, and why? That's an interesting question, too, because as an actor, it is my job to find, what in me relates to these characters so that I can bring that to them. So in a way, I relate to all the characters in some way. In this, I would probably say I relate to Hill the most. That could just be because he was really fun. Who doesn't want to play a rock star? I actually did front a band for a while, many years ago. I'm a musician too and a singer, and I have my wild side, my rock star side, and another thing I liked about Hill was the fact that even though he was this, successful rock star, he was still really a good guy behind it all who was just trying to do the right thing. He made some mistakes like we all do, and he was trying to make up for it. And I really appreciated that. Another character I related to was Pete. He is a peacemaker, and that's definitely something I find in myself. I like to, keep everyone happy, avoid conflict, try and bring people together when I can. So I really appreciated that about Pete, and related to that as well. Next question. How does narrating romance differ from narrating general fiction? Actually, I don't really find narrating any genre is really all that different. There's different things about different types of narration. There's a difference between a third-person narration and a first-person narration. But as far as narrating a book, it's all acting. Any medium that requires acting, that's the bottom line. It's about connecting with the character, and connecting with who you're talking to, and just living in that and getting that across to the listener. So I don't really find much of a difference between most genres. It all just comes down to bringing those characters to life. Am I a listener as well? Absolutely. I love audiobooks. If so, what are your favorite genres? My favorite genres probably right now are science fiction slash fantasy-ish. I definitely like modern fantasy as well. I guess urban fantasy. Is that what it's called now? There's so many different genres. I'm also really getting into lit RPG and game lit. I really like that stuff, and I'm really interested in narrating that. I recently listened to a fantastic book, which I think another question here is going to relate to that. I listened to American Gods by Neil Gaiman, the 20th anniversary edition, and that was really fantastic. So yeah, but I pretty much like everything. But that's sort of what I'm into right now. Next question is, Alyssa says, you referred me to Viviana. I did. I'm so glad. And I'm so happy you did. What kind of productions have you also participated in with her? Well, actually, Viviana and I have been friends for some years now. And we know each other from the Los Angeles theater scene. That is how we met. And so we've never done any audiobooks together or any other kind of voiceover stuff together before this. But we have worked in the theater together, and she is phenomenal. And I'm really glad that I was able to bring her onto this project. You're also a stage actor, like I just said. What do you think your experience in front of an audience brings to your narration style? Again, acting is acting. Certainly different medium have slightly different styles, but it all comes down to those same things as I mentioned before. Relating to the character, their wants, their needs, their background, relating to your audience. As a stage actor, clearly you have to develop your voice. When you're on stage, especially if you're not mic'd, then you have to make sure everyone in that audience can hear you, no matter what the size of the audience is. So there's, definitely a vocal development that happens when you work on stage for a long period of time, and that certainly helps in voiceover work. It's interesting too. On stage, like I said, your focus, your energy has to go all the way to the back row. So it's a slightly different focus, whereas on camera, you're focusing directly into the lens. All that energy has to go right there. And on the mic, it's similar. All your energy just goes right into the mic. You don't have to project. You don't have to force it out there to let people get it. You can be much more intimate. But I think theater is the best training ground. I find all the best actors I know have come from the theater. It's really the only true actor's medium, because when those lights go up or that curtain opens, it's just you and the other actors. There's no director or editor piecing together a performance. It's live right then and right there, which as an actor is fantastic. It's very exciting, very scary, and really, really fun. But it certainly has helped in making a transition to audiobooks. Let's see. Narration of audiobooks has evolved quite a bit in a short period of time. What do you think is the next trend in this format? Well, that relates back to what I was saying about what I recently listened to, American Gods, and to this book. I think full cast audiobooks are really going to become a much bigger thing. I see seems to be starting already, and I really enjoy them. It's more of an audio drama that way. I think it can really bring the listener in even more, to have these different voices and different people relating rather than just one person. Granted, I love it as a narrator, being able to play all the parts and do all the voices and accents and things like that. It's a blast. But a good full cast or multicast like this was, I played all the male roles. Viviana played a few, and there was a couple other people that played some characters. So American Gods did a similar thing. Several actors played multiple roles, and then there was a lot of smaller roles filled by other actors. And I think that's a big trend. I also think, and I know there's a lot of people in the audiobook world that don't agree with this and don't like it. I personally like it when it's done correctly, is using some effects, not necessarily sound effects, but vocal effects. Especially I've found in some of the new stuff, the game lit or science fiction, there are people that are adding some effects to their voices, to, like a computerized voice or things like that. And I think if it's done correctly, it can just draw the listener in more and really put them in the world even more. But again, it has to be done right. If it's too much, it can take you out of it. But I think in certain genres, at least, that's going to become more prevalent as well. And it's exciting. I mean, the audiobook industry is growing by leaps and bounds all the time. And as technology gets better, and as the creativity grows in the industry, I think we're going to see some really fun, exciting stuff. And I'm really glad to be a part of it. And it was a real pleasure to be a part of doing For Real. So I hope you enjoyed this little behind the mic look in my booth here and talking about working on For Real. And I hope you have a great Tuesday and a great week. And I hope you enjoy the book. Please go listen. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.